Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on Iron Man Rise of Technovore Anime Film Review. Now, as you know, Marvel had its sort of brand in Japan called Marvel Anime, which had film episode anime series from Iron Man, Wolverine, X-Men, Blade, and even two movies, Rise of Technovore, Black Widow and Fury, and even some more kid projects like Marvel Discworld, Marvel Future Avengers, and so on. So Iron Man Rise of Technovore is what I would say was like their own alternative version of a third Iron Man film. And I do have a theory that the script for the film, written by Brandon Ullman, may have been planned to have been part of the third Iron Man film until being pulled away. That, or it could have just been planned to be a prequel to Iron Man 3. Now, the premise of the movie is meant to be about Tony Stark and Rhodey, who basically show up for this big event in Utah to unleash Tony Stark's new satellite called the Howard that is supposed to kind of help stop terrorism and other things happening before they do. After being attacked by the Raiders, and after basically Iron Man finds a mysterious person wearing an iron armor, which is meant to be the the film's version of Technovore, leads to Iron Man trying to prove to Fury what really happened, as well as going on an all-out race to clear his name and stop the villain before it happens. Now, I do admit the film is a little quick. It doesn't really take time to do any development with Tony, and it does feel like they just got rid of Rhodey just for the sake of plot until near the end. I think this really could have shown Tony Stark accepting who his father was, which they do, and when you kind of got the villain, it kind of makes them like counterparts. That does work, because I think when you've got Tony, you can tell he does accept who his father was. When you've got the villain, it kind of makes them like a counterpart. And it's heavily implied his assistant, Sasha, is meant to be an IA system. And I do admit there are moments where the film does take some time with itself. Yeah, you kind of got basically Tony trying to promise Pepper a good vacation and still needing her. I kind of felt with the villain, he was kind of rememberable because he was kind of like a more darker counterpart of Tony Stark. And his armor did remind me a bit of Kamen Rider or a sort of Sentai Warrior feel. And at the same time, it does heavily imply that this movie was going to be a prequel to Iron Man 3 before being completely changed. And I do feel the villain could have had some henchmen like Whiplash or Crimson Dynamo, Unicorn, like what villains are supposed to have. And I kind of feel the plot could have focused more on Tony basically accepting what was then, but accepting what is now, and kind of accepting the people in his life. This really could have been a good idea, but it doesn't really go with this. And I do admit the casting isn't too bad. With the English dub, you've got Matthew Mercer, known for playing Stryker in Mortal Kombat 9, also known for playing as well in Persona 5, and I think does a great job as a slightly young Tony Stark. And when you kind of got Norman Reedus, he actually does a decent job for the Punisher. And when you've also got Kate Higgins, known for voicing Sailor Mercury in the Viz dub of Sailor Moon, And when you've got her basically voicing Sakura in Naruto and Mary Janet Nettles in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, she actually does sound like a more sassier sort of MCU version of Pepper. And I would say the film is meant to show Tony Stark and the villain almost like counterparts, like one that's positive, one that's negative. And I know there was another one to tie into it, which was meant to have Black Widow teaming up with Punisher, and it seems by the end of that film, they ended the kind of Marvel anime run with the kind of TV series and that, and then moved on to the kids stuff. So I do feel the movie isn't too bad. It is meant to kind of be a prequel to Iron Man 3 until being completely changed. And I do think they did it to kind of keep it in line with the kind of anime series that they did. Because keep in mind, when you kind of got a flashback from the first Iron Man film, this implies they were keeping it true to what the first film was. And by the end of it, it comes up with their own alternative take, which I think does work. So I think the movie deserves a thumbs in the middle. It's not bad, alright, but really not the greatest of potentials. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.